Here we are face to face. It's just one of them days. I'm sorry that you seem to be confused. Yeah, new Monica. You should've known better than to think I would leave. When I first saw you, I already knew. And I got love. You gon' miss me when I go. So gone over you. Boy, if you ever, I will cross the ocean for you. I just can't keep on going. I should make a move. I should make a. I got friends, baby, just like you. Know how to listen and give me attention. Well, I never meant to cause you no pain. Baby, that's just why I love you so much. You should've known that I would stay by your side. Angel of mine, I'm so gone. So you're everything to me. There's nothing they can do. I just can't hide that. I wanna get down before you walk out my life.
Monica didn't just fall off. She was set up to fail. She had the voice, the hits, and the talent. But while Brandy, Aaliyah, and Beyonce were being crowned as R&B royalty, Monica was being quietly pushed out. And if you think it was just a case of bad luck, you're wrong. This wasn't just about one bad album or fading popularity. Monica's career was sabotaged by industry politics, label neglect, and personal tragedy. She was never supposed to win. Her biggest hit, Brandy, got most of the credit. Her second album, delayed and nearly scrapped. Her comeback, barely promoted. And when the industry was done with her, they left her for dead. So how did Monica go from one of the biggest R&B stars of the 90s to fighting just to be remembered? Well, let's talk about it, because the truth behind Monica's career will make you rethink everything. Monica wasn't just another 90s R&B singer, she was a prodigy. At just 14 years old, she became the youngest artist ever to have back-to-back #1 hits on the Billboard R&B charts. By the time most people were figuring out high school, Monica was already a star. Her debut album, Miss Thang, wasn't just successful, it went triple platinum. And then, in 1998, she dropped the biggest song of the year, The Boy Is Mine, a duet with Brandy that spent 13 weeks at #1. But here's the thing, the industry never treated Monica like a superstar. Despite selling millions of records, Monica was always pushed to the side. She wasn't getting the magazine covers like Brandy. She wasn't getting the Cinderella movie deals. She wasn't getting the corporate-backed pop crossover moments. And it wasn't because she wasn't talented. It was because she didn't fit the image the industry wanted. Monica was raw. She was real. She had a street edge that labels didn't know what to do with. While Brandy was given the America's Sweetheart branding, Monica was labeled as the hood girl of R&B. And in an industry that was still trying to sanitize black artists for mainstream audiences, that meant she wasn't getting the same opportunities. But Monica didn't care. She wasn't interested in being polished or perfect. She was focused on making real music. And it worked. Her second album, The Boy Is Mine, was even bigger than her first, selling over 3 million copies. But behind the scenes, something was happening. Monica had proven she was a star, but the industry had already decided she wasn't the right kind of star. And the moment R&B started shifting, they were ready to leave her behind. Monica had the talent, the hits, and the fan base. But none of that mattered once the industry decided it was done with her. By the early 2000s, R&B was changing. The 90s sound, smooth vocals, real instruments, deep storytelling, was being pushed out for something else. The industry wanted a pop-friendly version of R&B, one that could sell to a mainstream audience. Artists like Ashanti, Beyonce, and Jennifer Lopez started dominating, blending R&B with pop and hip-hop in a way that was easier to sell. And Monica? She didn't fit the mold. Her label started pushing her in a pop direction, but that wasn't who she was. Her album All Eyes on Me was supposed to be her next big moment, but it flopped before it even came out. Why? Because the label didn't believe in it. The album was was originally released in Japan, but it leaked online before it could hit the US market. Instead of supporting Monica and rolling with the momentum, the label pulled the album back, scrapped the entire project, and told her to start over. That's not what happens to an artist the industry actually wants to win. Meanwhile, artists like Brandy were still getting label backing. Beyoncé was being set up as the next big thing. Alicia Keys was being positioned as the real musician of R&B. Monica, she was left in the cold. And when she finally came back with After the Storm, she had to fight to even get the album out. That should have been her comeback moment. It even went platinum. But by then, the industry had moved on. Monica didn't fall off. The industry turned its back on her. And just when she needed music the most, real-life tragedy hit her like a brick. Just as Monica was fighting to stay relevant in an industry that had already started phasing her out, her personal life came crashing down. It started in 1998 when her cousin and best friend, Selena Glenn, suddenly passed away from a brain aneurysm. Monica was devastated, but she kept pushing through her career. Then just a year later, in 1999, something happened that would haunt her forever. Monica's boyfriend at the time, Jarvis Weems, was struggling with depression after the tragic death of his brother. One day, he called Monica to meet him at the cemetery where his brother was buried. She thought she was going to comfort him. Instead, she watched in real time as he took his own life, right in front of her. Imagine what that does to a person. She was just 18 years old, at the height of her career, and suddenly, her world was shattered. Monica disappeared from the spotlight, struggling with depression. She barely ate, she couldn't sleep, and she spent hours at Jarvis's grave, trying to process what had happened. But instead of getting the time and support to heal, the industry expected her to keep working. By the time she came back, R&B had changed. The industry had moved on to new faces, new sounds, and new priorities. Monica was no longer part of the plan, and the hits just kept coming. In the early 2000s, she lost her grandmother, the person who helped raise her. Then, her first love, C. Murder, was sentenced to life in prison for murder. Monica was surrounded by loss. And when she finally came back to music, she was dealing with an industry that had already decided it didn't need her anymore. At this point, it seemed like Monica's career was cursed. But what happened next proved that the industry didn't just forget about Monica, they were never going to let her win. Monica and Brandy will always be linked because of The Boy Is Mine, one of the biggest R&B duets of all time. But what people don't realize is that their beef wasn't just some petty girl drama. It was industry politics. The labels played a huge role in creating tension between them. Brandy was positioned as the good girl of R&B, while Monica was pushed into the hood chick stereotype. And here's the wild part. Monica never even wanted to do the song in the first place. Dallas Austin, Monica's longtime producer, admitted that Monica couldn't stand Brandy from the start. Monica felt like Brandy was too proper, too fake. And Brandy? She saw Monica as too rough, too aggressive, too real. But the labels needed the feud to sell records. The two never even recorded the song together in the studio. When it came time to film the music video, they were kept completely separate. And by the time they performed it live at the 1998 MTV VMAs, Monica had had enough. She punched Brandy in the face, backstage. Why? Because Brandy had been running her mouth and Monica was not the one. The industry swept it under the rug, but it was clear. Brandy was being protected, while Monica was being pushed aside. Even after the success of The Boy Is Mine, Brandy was still seen as the bigger star. She got TV deals, major endorsements, and big budget promo. Monica, she got left behind. And when they reunited for It All Belongs to Me in 2012, it was clear nothing had changed. Brandy was still getting the industry's support, while Monica was fighting for scraps. By this point, Monica knew she was never going to get the push she deserved. And after years of watching the industry favor certain artists over others, she finally decided if they weren't going to give her a lane, she'd make her own. But by then, it was almost too late. By the early 2000s and 10s, Monica had accepted the truth. The industry was never going to hand her a comeback. If she wanted to stay relevant, she had to make it happen on her own. And for a moment, it looked like she was about to pull it off. In 2010, she dropped Still Standing, an album that felt like a comeback. It debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, sold nearly 200,000 copies in its first week, and even earned her a Grammy nomination. It should have been the start of her second wave, but by then, The industry had changed. Streaming had taken over. R&B radio wasn't what it used to be, and labels were only investing in pop-driven R&B acts like Beyonce and Rihanna. Monica was still making classic R&B, but classic R&B wasn't what the industry wanted anymore. Her follow-up album, New Life, 2012, completely flopped. Despite her big reunion with Brandy on It All Belongs to Me, the industry just didn't care. Then, in 2015, she dropped Code Red, an album meant to call out the way the industry was killing traditional R&B. The message was strong. The music was solid. But the album? It sold just 35,000 copies in its first week. That was it. Monica had officially been boxed out. And it wasn't because she fell off. It was because the industry had moved on. She still had millions of fans. She still had one of the best voices in R&B. But without label support, without major playlisting, without the machine behind her, it was almost impossible to compete. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, her personal life took another hit. In 2019, she divorced Shannon Brown, her husband of 8 years. Another heartbreak, another setback. By this point, Monica had been through it all. Death, betrayal, industry politics, personal tragedies. And somehow she was still standing. But the music industry had changed forever. And at this point, the question wasn't whether Monica could make a comeback. It was whether R&B even had room for her anymore. Monica never fell off. She was pushed out. But here's the thing, she's not the only one. The industry has a pattern of discarding R&B legends once they no longer fit the mainstream mold. Think about it. Where's Ashanti? She was everywhere in the early 2000s. But the moment labels decided R&B needed a new face, she was done. Where's Keisha Cole? She had anthems, a core fan base, and yet, the moment she started pushing for creative control, the industry phased her out. Even Brandy, the industry favorite, struggled with label issues and was nearly forgotten before her Versus battle with Monica reminded people how legendary she was. So if this keeps happening, the real question is, why does the industry do this? Well, the answer is simple. Labels only care about what's profitable at the moment. And once an artist stops fitting the current trend, they stop getting promo, stop getting playlisted, and stop getting label support, no matter how talented they are. But here's the thing. Monica has something that the industry can't take away. She still has millions of loyal fans. She still gets 5 million monthly listeners on Spotify. And most importantly, she never stopped making music. In the past few years, Monica has gone independent, started her own label, Emu Denise Music, and dropped new singles like Commitment and Friends. And here's why that matters. The internet has changed the game. Labels don't control the industry the way they used to. Artists don't need radio or major labels to succeed anymore. If Monica plays her cards right, if she leans into social media, starts releasing music consistently, and taps into her die-hard fan base, she could pull off one of the biggest R&B comebacks we've ever seen. Because at the end of the day, Monica was never a one-hit wonder or an artist who just faded away. She was a victim of an industry that throws away its legends. But with streaming, TikTok, and independent success reshaping the music business, maybe, just maybe, Monica's story isn't over yet. So what do you think? Did Monica get done dirty by the industry? Or was she just another artist who couldn't keep up with the times? Let me know in the comments, because this story is far from over. So now you know the truth. Monica didn't just fall off. She didn't fade away. She was pushed out, left behind by an industry that only values artists when they fit the current trend. She had the talent, she had the success, she had the fan base, but when the labels decided R&B needed a new face, one they could control, Monica was no longer part of the plan. They phased her out. And yet, despite everything, the industry politics, the personal tragedies, the label drama, Monica is still here. She still has millions of loyal fans. She still has one of the strongest voices in R&B. And in an era where artists can win without industry backing, she might not be done yet. But what do you think? Was Monica blackballed by the industry? Could she still make a comeback in today's music scene? Or is she proof that no artist can stay on top forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive. Because trust me, there are a lot more untold stories in the music industry. Until next tomorrow, peace.